Hey, Spiritual Chuck here. We're in the dark. I woke up. It was almost as if I was dreaming that, I don't know, that I couldn't find my center. Almost like I was whirling around in like a mass consciousness. Like they talk about deep sleep being a doorway to mass consciousness. And, I've talked about that before in my videos. Where I feel like the shape of the Earth might be like the shape of a galaxy, the real shape, where it's kind of like a plane, and I've got some time-lapse footage of star patterns that identify two distinct circular star patterns, almost like you're looking at the North Pole or something. But really, what I think I see is the two star patterns that are coming off of the center energy of a galaxy, for example, where the shaft of energy flowing through the middle is producing the circular or mass consciousness. The donut effect, with something going right through the middle of the donut, like so. I'll download that link. It's a real short link. It's hard to find it. I haven't been able to find some other ones yet, but it's a double star pattern, time-lapse double star pattern, definitely. So anyway, in my sleep, I woke up. I looked at the clock. It's 3:49, and I-10 is already cranked up. I can hear it in the distance. And somebody was talking about 4 a.m. waking up and having access to some information at 4 a.m. I don't know. But anyway, I feel like I've lost that center, and that I am walking around in like mass consciousness. And then I began to think that, what are the possibilities that even a little bit of 300 million frequencies per second could alter my thinking to the point where I'm immediately in mass consciousness, and I'm no longer experiencing that center. I mean, I even experienced that center when I, was investigating Amanita muscaria mushrooms that has a definite cyclic pattern of awareness. When you take the mushroom, it just cycles. Like one time I tripped on jackets, all kinds of jackets, every jacket ever known, ever made, all the way back to, my ancestral jackets. And then at the end I saw the futility of it all, or the cyclic nature of it all, so to speak. It's like the I, or the awake state of me, is somehow been overshadowed by this mass consciousness. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's like, even if it was just a little bit of signal, that it might be sufficient enough to cause me to drop that connection with my center, or the I. I mean, it's like, after all, how many whirling dervishes are there? they apparently can hold on to their center as they're spinning, as fast as they can spin, um, without getting dizzy. And I heard one description where an observer of these dancers, when they stopped dancing, the person observing them became extremely dizzy. So it's like they're producing a bubble of the eye center with the mass consciousness whirling, and but they're able to hold on to their center through practice. It's like they're practicing being in the center of this mass consciousness. And maybe the 5G is producing maybe an artificial mass consciousness that therefore we have an inability to hold our center, because I'm like dreaming, but I can't find myself centered in the whirling of the dream. And that's what I woke up to. And I put on my carbon fiber helmet to see if I could find my center. And I'm kind of feeling it, even with this little talk. The phone's fixing to die because it was just about dead anyway. But I wanted to get this down if I could. I looked at the clock at exactly 7:07 on the timer when I said that. Synchronicities of the whirling. 7:07. It's like whirling. God number 7. But then if added together is a 14, it's a 5. Which is a pentacle. I remember the Jews talking about the Merkabah, the center of the star, that when we, in our Exodus, that star spins infinitesimally fast. It's like a plasma-powered star. And that as it rises, we're making our exodus through all of our chakra, all of our energy centers. But we're doing it, it's one energy center at a time. But eventually we rise and make our exodus. So, anywho, more on this later, and maybe how this correlates with the Sparsa Yoga and the fourth state of consciousness. The A-U-N, is significant of the A is the awake state, U is the dream state, and M is the deep sleep state. The other note that I had in this thought process here was that, I just lost it. It was real important. It's like, it's almost like the mass consciousness is controlling my singularity, my center, and seemingly how easy that could be with the amount of frequency or signal that we're receiving. So, they could just essentially take us over and put us in this mass consciousness this technological mass consciousness, with just a little bit of their 300 million frequencies per second. You see what I'm getting at? It's like, and while we're in the dark, I'd like to talk about that, being able to go in the dark and see one's light versus staying in this second light, or this worldly multiplicity of light that we call the earth in our daily living. So we have to get out of the second light. The only way to do that is to go into the dark and get through our awake state and our dream state and arrive at deep sleep. And then we've arrived at that whirling mass consciousness, but with our singularity, if that makes any sense. It seems as if I lost my singularity in all of this. And if that's the case, then they were successful in preventing me from making my exodus as a singularity through the multiplicity. One of the things the Nagamati said was that when we make our exodus, that we have to do it undetected. The thoughts of a plasma antenna, military say, is undetectable. And so essentially we are a plasma antenna, but with the capacity to transmit and or receive, right? So our transmittal abilities are kind of what's in question, because that's what's necessary for our exodus. Or transmitting. Or our receptive abilities being layered on or altered or artificially induced. So maybe an artificial enlightenment possibility for everybody. How much power can they have on you when they're penetrating the plasma wall of the human cell into the DNA and all the other interesting ingredients in the human cell, which I'm unaware of. So I'm really dumb at this. These are all hypotheses. They're not. I'm certainly not claiming to a certainty of this level of complexity. And it's really difficult to have a conversation with anybody about it, particularly if it's full of rebuttals or naysayers or what. And that's what I've run into, over and over again. That's why it's so easy to make a video rather than have a discussion these days. And anyway, I'm sure the phone's going to die any minute, but it hasn't yet. So we'll listen back at this and see if we can make any sense of it. Okay? At